Uganda is finally, going to be free. And the creative arts schools opened this week. And of course, they're going to be, going back to business after 2 years.
Yeah.
The creative minds in the children were dead. I think they could not think anymore because COVID, they've been in a lockdown for this long. So we are grateful that Uganda has finally opened and kids are going back to school. And also he said that the art and culture industry or creative industry can finally now go back.
On the 24th.
Yeah, the 24th, and particularly the music, performing arts, and of course the theater and drama, and all the things are now opening up. What does this really mean, but to the industry?
I think it's really a very good, opportunity. Of course, it's been overdue. I wouldn't say that the arts have been completely, silent. People have been doing a few performances. Not all the art forms, but a few have been operational, not officially off the hook. But now, at least now that it's official, so we can easily start planning our, our calendars and our events. Actually, we've already set up our first event on the 5th of February. So for those who have seen it, so you'll be happy to join us and celebrate the birthday of Bob Marley on Lunklo Island.
Okay.
So it's going to be fascinating with all the SOPs and trying to keep the numbers low.
Okay.
So this is what it means, that people have been really eager to get out to start planning, and I think this gesture of saying now he has officially opened the industry, it's really good that now we can start thinking on how we are going to engage.
Okay. And talking of that, Faisal, I want to take you to the first question of the day. Of course, I would like to ask the team to first put the questions up on the screen, the topic on the screen, so that everybody can check in out. We're talking about the challenges of 2022, okay? 2022 challenges for the independent creative art scene.
Yeah.
And when we talk about the independent creative art scene, what does we mean? We're going to talk about it. I want you to join into this conversation and send us your kisses and disses, send us your comment, and we'll be able to talk about it. What are the challenges that you see that is coming up, and of course that we can look into and have a discussion here. But first I want to take you straight to when we talk about the independent creative arts, what are we really referring to from that point of view?
Yeah, I think the independent creative arts is where you find individuals like you and I, who are really hustling on their own, trying to make ends meet, or trying to create work, or trying to develop their skills, or trying to be part of an industry that they are who they are as artists. So the independent art scene is really, we look at like filmmakers, we look at musicians, we look at theater practitioners, playwrights, and then there is the independent. These are the individuals who are doing things without rules. They don't follow anyone's rule. They don't. They're just doing what they love, and they're not really being guided by principles or whatever. But they just want to do what they love. And then the non-independent art scene is really, you find the the legal, the policy, the government, the social culture of the arts, where like government institutions or foundations that are really working with a pool of grants and support structure. But the independent art scene is really like, you find individuals like who are doing their work and they're trying to survive and they're trying to make ends meet, at the same time doing what they love. Yeah.
Okay. And on that note, Faisal, when we talk about this independence, what are we looking for from this independence? I mean, you say they don't usually follow the normal rules that are set in place. They are creative. What makes them so unique to the industry?
I think every time, most of the time, it's always important to have a free independent art scene, because that's where most of the independent art scene is there to challenge the normal, to challenge the status quo, to give you a different perspective when it comes to arts. Most of the artists, sometimes they are independent, but they're not actually independent, because there's a lot of fatigue when it comes to censorship, self-censorship. So you find people who are supposed to be independent are not actually, because they are worried about, if they are too independent, then they might not be able to survive in the market. And also, if the market does not understand what it means to work with independent or appreciate, even in the rest of the world, when you go to places like Europe or America, you find that the independent art scene is always struggling. It's always called the underground, you know, struggling, and they don't easily get funding because they don't have like official or professional structures like institutions or registrations, organizations. Some of them don't have bank accounts, so they are really like doing things off the book, but they're doing what they love. That's the most important thing. So giving such artists an opportunity to express themselves the way they should really gives an opportunity to the industry to kind of test a different aspect of the arts, the way they are presented.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, we are talking to Faizo Chiwewa right here about the 2022 challenges that faces the independent art, you know, creative minds and in the art industry, in the scene of creativity in Uganda. What are your says? What are your thoughts? What do you have to say? What kind of challenges do you think, you know, they face in 2022, and how can we, you know, talk about the, you know, solutions to this problem? We're going to take a break, and when we come back, Faizo and I are going to dive deep into the question of how do we make this better. Stay right there. We'll be right back after this. This is the Creative Industry Talk.
So distinguishing prose poetry and prose poetry and drama.
Yes.
This is an academic question.
Yes.
So let me just be frank with it. So we have literature. Literature can easily simply be defined as the creative expressions of a given culture, of a given people. And it is normally done through writing, through singing, through speaking. Yeah. Now, literature is that creative expression that focuses on the written word. Yeah. As you hear the word itself, literature, literate, you know, meaning to write. Yeah. Now, we are going to restrict ourselves to three things. Yes. So we talked about prose, we talked about poetry, we talked about drama. Yes. Now, prose is that kind of creative expression that is more elaborate. Flow, it is more elaborate. So if you're reading a novel, if you're reading a short story, if you're reading a biography, you know, that falls within the, if you're an essay, that is in a form of prose. Now, poetry is more rhythmic. It is briefer, and in most cases we use a lot of descriptive and colorful language. So if you look at a novel and a poem, what a novel can say in 200 words, a poem can say in 1 page. Now, those are the differences between the poetry.
That's the difference between these.
Yes. Now, when it comes to drama, the way you hear the word, drama is language in action. Yes. Language in action. Yeah. So drama is that kind of written literature where you capture characters talking. But from what they talk, for you the reader or the listener, you can infer what is taking place. Yeah. So drama is always takes place when characters are either talking to themselves or they're talking to others. Yeah.
What can the men do, okay, to promote women's sports, or basketball for that matter?
Yes, so today morning, someone told me, he made research, actually my brother, that these days the NBA actually facilitates the WNBA games to see that they're also somewhere. How about the NBL men starts doing something, not totally like investing in and all that, but it can be with the support system. It can be one very good thing, seeing that creating more opportunities for these ladies, putting up different games games like, so as like women can be like seeing or showing that this guy is also like gay. It can start with support, and then with time they can also like recommend whoever facilitates them to like partially have his thoughts somewhere on the women's team, so that like they can all go about like together, in solidarity. I think that can work. I don't think it's something big. It can start with support and then financially with time.
Now I'm going to talk to my people.
Yes.
Because I like what, as we are saying, vive la France, vive la francophonie. So, le leadership, c'est quoi? Le leadership, ce n'est pas le fait d'intimider les gens ou bien de dominer les gens, non. Le leadership, c'est le fait d'aider les gens à suivre le bon chemin. Parce qu'il y a des gens qui sont là, ils ne savent même pas par quel chemin emprunter. Il y a des gens qui ont même étudié, mais ils ne savent pas quel business ils doivent faire. Maintenant, l'idée, quand tu rencontres une personne pareille, tu vas l'orienter. Non, tu peux faire mieux que ce que tu fais. Non, la peur que tu as là ne va pas te tuer. Tu peux aller au-delà de la peur. L'idée, c'est comme j'avais donné l'exemple, allow me to go a little bit deeper. J'avais donné l'exemple ici en français, en anglais, pardon. La vidéo que j'avais vue à propos de chiens, il y avait un groupe de chiens au niveau du Canada et il n'y avait pas de l'eau. Pourquoi? Parce qu'il y avait la neige, il n'y avait pas la place pour que tout le monde puisse boire de l'eau. Mais il y avait seulement une petite place pour le boss que je vais appeler. Et il ne voulait pas que les autres puissent venir boire de l'eau, comme il était boss. Il intimidait les gens. Mais il y avait un petit garçon, un petit chien qui était là à côté. Il a eu l'idée de briser la glace, là où il y avait pas, parce que l'eau était en dessous et il n'y avait pas moyen de boire, mais le petit chien a brisé et tout le monde a vu ce qu'il faisait. Ils sont venus, ils ont commencé à briser et tous ont profité avec l'eau potable. Et le boss était laissé comme un vaurien. Personne ne le faisait encore confiance parce qu'il n'était pas là pour les aider. Il était là pour le faire peur, les intimider. Mais l'idée, c'est quelqu'un qui est là pour aider quelqu'un à avancer jusqu'à son destin, à sa vision. Parce que nous avons tous nos visions, mais c'est la peur des fois qui nous arrête. Merci mon ami.
You have to know each equipment. You have to know the brew ratio. Actually, the brew ratio is
very important.
The most important. Brew ratio now most people may not understand. It is the ratio of the coffee powder to water, and the yield. Water in this article will bring us into the yield. If I put 10 grams of coffee into my portafilter, how much of it am I? Exactly. So if you don't master the brew ratio, oh, everything is going to turn out a mess. You understand? Even if you know that knowledge and you don't master the brew ratio.
And one thing I would like to allude to or tell the other youth out there is we have to start creating our own solutions for our own problems. Otherwise, no one else is going to come from, Europe, America, or wherever to try and fix our own issues. So I would like to urge other youth, the other creatives out there, hit the ground running, go in there, try and solve the problem that your neighbor has, the problem that your friends have. And by creating those solutions, you can easily become the next big company of tomorrow, creating bigger solutions nationwide and on a continent level.
First and foremost, thank you very much for hosting me. I'm really, really humbled, and I'm blessed to be here. Yeah, surely. Talking about basketball, personally, my journey of basketball started from far, very, very far. That was in high school, and in a situation whereby we did not have enough exposure. We didn't have coaches. We didn't have the facilities like we do have them right now. Although I'm saying this like there are so many years ago, there are not so many. That was about, I began knowing basketball in 2007. That was at KPC when I was in P7 vacation. That is end of 2007 actually, that KPC North. That's when I first touched the basketball. Then 2008 when I joined Namilyango in Senior 1. I saw people playing. Actually, the people whom I saw there playing and inspired me were Sally of, he played for Chambogo Warriors. Do you remember him?
The left-handed.
Yes, and Omongin. Omongin, last I saw him playing for City Oil. Those were the guys whom I found in Namilyango. I was in Senior 1. These guys were playing basketball at another level. And we would actually just go there to watch them. You know, for us by that time, they couldn't allow you to step on the basketball court that those guys are on, because they were senior sixes, you are a senior 1. You just, the best you can do is watch. Other than that, you don't step there. But nonetheless, that's where I started. Beautifully, or I would say lucky for me, that when I was playing with those guys, once in a while when they could see me about midday 1, when the sun is very hot, when they are still resting and waiting to come. So when we would go to court and, you know, try a few shots here and there, and then they would come and they meet us, they would see what we are doing, and, you know, they would identify talent. I don't know if I can use that word. So, you know, one or another, they identified my talent. They realized I could at least throw in the ball. At any sport. They would just give it to me. Although I was weak, I didn't know how to bounce. They only told me one thing: throw in the ball. And throwing in the ball gave me an opportunity to play with them. When I was in Senior 1, Senior 2, but still, of course, I still had people who didn't believe in me, and it was challenging.
It's a CEO bench, so usually people want to assume that all CEOs are overlearned and stuff like that. So I will change the script this time around. I consider myself a certified hustler.
If I'm looking to know who you are you Ugandan? If yes, what are the values that define you as Ugandan?
That's the easiest question, I think, to answer. I am a typical Lao man from a Rute North, in a place called Ogur, and where I will be laid to rest is in a village called Agweng. So if you go there and you just say Otoa Tony, they won't really know me because my father is also Otoa Tony. You have to ask for Junior, and when you're asking, you have to ask with an accent. Junior Tikwene, where is Junior? And they will identify me. But I'm typically Ugandan, only Ugandan, from Lira. I pride myself from being from Lira. Earlier on, I was joking and saying I'm the coolest Lago south of Karuma. When you cross Karuma, there are so many. But when you're down in the south after Karuma, I think I'm number 1.
Wow. Well, now that you know Tony Otoa is Ugandan, and of course, what are the values that define you as a Ugandan?
I think it's the love for country, love for nation. You know, truth be told, the country is in a lot of, it's a crisis. Leadership crisis, economic crisis, social crisis. There's so many mismatching areas. But at the end of the day, it's home. You know, you cannot run and abandon your home because of the issues in your home. I think that then creates an opportunity for you to do something to change what's happening and what you see as a crisis. So in terms of what I see as a value, or what I take out of that for me, I think is just the love for country, the need to serve country the best way I can. And I mean, I can't say I can change everything, but the little I can do to create a difference, I think is more meaningful.
Wow. Mr. Tony Otoa, growing up, what did you want to be in life? And what was the journey like for Mr. Otoa?
Yeah, you know, my father is crazy. My father would call us and you'd show me the compass. The idea was supposed to be a pilot. The planes would fly over our house, and my father would be like, "Yeah, you're going to be a pilot." Yeah. But of course, as you grow, you realize that you have so many things that really define you. I was never a sportsman. So I enjoyed a lot of debate and, a lot of indoor activities. And that is, I think, what really drove me into some of the things that I do up to today. Public speaking, the love for debates, and really a lot of intellectual discourse and all this stuff. But besides that, I think it's also the fact that I won't lie. I didn't know what I wanted to be.
So as we come to the end of the show, what word do you have for baristas out there? Because like we said earlier, you won't be a barista at 70. Okay, what can these baristas do to make themselves more relevant in the coffee chain and the coffee process, and also more relevant for their lives going ahead?
Okay. I usually meet baristas and I'll tell them you're going to be active for 10 years maximum. Yeah. If you stretch it, 20 years. But you can, graduate yourself first. You've learned barista, basic barista, add more skills, but also advance to maybe quality control. Because if you do R or Q grading, then you can get a job in a private farm or a coffee exporting or a coffee processing farm. That's one plus. Another thing, if you're a barista who has a background in agriculture, you can work backwards, switching back to your profession. It's going to be good if you applied for a job, let's say quality control, and you're a barista, you have studied R or Q, and you also know some coffee agronomy. Definitely they will take you.
Also, you're going to be better than someone who has studied quality control but is not a barrister, because you know every employee wants a bigger package of you at the same price. So the thing is, if you're a barrister, you're 40 years, you've overstretched maybe 40, 45. At least learn Q or R. UCD has free. You know, these are free courses. I'm not speaking for UCD, but they are free. R and Q grading, they are free. You stand a chance to get a job in the coffee industry, growing or processing farm. But another thing, we have some people we are with who have a background in agriculture or biotechnology.
It is time for the coffee break. A very good morning wherever you're watching us from. How are you doing? How's been your week? Monday to Friday is always a stressing time. You know, like you wake up on a Monday and you're like, oh God, I have a whole week waiting for me. But on a Saturday like this and a morning like this at an hour of 11 a.m., we always got you covered. We give you a break and talk about coffee. Get to know things that you might have done during the week, and your weekend is covered. So my name is Amon Mukisa, and welcome to the Coffee Break show. This is House of Talent Television, and we're streaming live on our YouTube channel. That's at House of Talent Uganda, but also catch the show on Facebook as House of Talent Television Uganda. But on Twitter, you know, you can go over there and follow our Twitter handle. That's at HTV1 Uganda. We shall be streaming live every show from our studios right here in Bukoto. And yeah, we get to talk about coffee. We have a variety of shows, but today it's time for coffee. Welcome once again on the show. Today I have a guest. We're going to be talking about various things. We're going to be talking about a little bit of, like, you know, how the coffee houses are going to open up. The economy is fully opening up literally like next week. It's going to fully open up, and now we want to look at it in that aspect of, like, how are the coffee houses ready, and how are they going to cope up with extended hours of working, but also on the side of the baristas, are they ready to tackle or take on this mantle of working for more extensive hours? Because most of the baristas, you never know, during this time of work, they got more things to do because they used to work less hours. But that's the conversation we shall be having today with my guest today. But before we get into all that, welcome my guest today on the show.
Thank you so much.
Welcome, man.
Thank
Who are we having here today?
Yeah, I'm called Apaga Samuel, and I'm Ugandan by nationality, a barista by profession, and yeah.
Yeah, I like the confidence, man. That's 2022, eh? That's the way to go, eh?
Yeah.
It's Samuel.
Yes, sir.
Samuel, how have you been?
I've been good.
How are you finding the new year?
The new year hasn't been that bad, just because I resigned from my former workplace to move on with something new as I prepare for something better.
You know, always when people resign from their former workplaces, they always have something big coming.
Yeah.
Do you have something big that's coming?
Yeah, there's something big I'm expecting.
You know, whenever baristas resign, me, I always think about, like, you know, pushing out. Oh, that's not something big you're talking about, eh? Sam,
yeah.
So let's talk about coffee, because this is the coffee break.
Yes, sir.
How do you get into the coffee industry, and how did you get to know about coffee?
Actually, I got to know about coffee through a brother. I was in Form 6, then we're getting to a vacation. Then a brother talked to me, was like, Sam, you're soon having a vacation and it's a bit long. 8 months when you're home.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then he was like, maybe you can come, I connect you to someone. You get to know about coffee because, you know, you take it as a profession, then there's some good money, you'll earn some good money.
So the vacation, you were talking about, like, the senior 4 vacation,
no,
senior 6 vacation?
Senior 6 vacation.
Okay.
Yeah. So when I got home, my parent contributed some money. Then I joined barista school. Madam Nyakaisike was the teacher. Yes, Nyakaisike and Nyapende Sarifai.
Which school was that?
Barrister House.
Barrister House.
Yeah.
I like the names. Barrister House. Like literally it's only for barristers, eh?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So when I joined, I studied for 1.5 months. Then from there, she got me a job at the Coffee Cafe, Chiwatule. Then I started working as a head barrister.
Wow.
Yeah.
1.5 months,
One
you've
and a
studied
half.
and now you're working as a head barrister in a certain place.
Yeah.
Man, that was quite something, because people do work for quite a while before they become head barristers. You know,
Yeah,
for
yeah,
someone to
you're
trust you with their shop, someone to trust you with their coffee and everything to lead it. It seems like you're really, really good doing your training in 1.5 months.
Yeah, actually they trained me, they equipped me with coffee knowledge, you know, both theory and practical. And she sent me to this lady, and this lady trusted me and gave me the opportunity to run the barista section.
During your school in that 1.5 months, like what were the things you talked about being specific? Because I know coffee being as a wide thing. It's a wide concept to cover when you're talking about coffee. So when you tell me like you only took 1.5 months to study coffee or get to know it, it beats my mind. Like, how did you like segment all those things in only 1.5 months? What did you do?
Actually, it was more of practical. It was all about knowing how to operate an espresso machine. Then also the other manual brewing part, the different manual brewing equipments. Yeah, it was about the coffee machine and the different manual brewing equipment and how to handle clients. Yeah.
Yeah, the service part of it.
The service part of it.
Okay, let's go back to where, when you're young, did you grow around like the coffee area, coffee environment for you to get to know coffee?
Actually, during my young days, I didn't know much about coffee. The coffee I knew was picking the red cherries from the coffee plant, go and sell a kg at 300 shillings.
But did you know by then that they are called red cherries?
No, actually I didn't know that.
What would you just mwani?
Mwani,
Yoka,
that is what
yoka.
we used to. So grandma could send us to go and pick the red cherries. We go and sell. They could sell. We could sell each kg at 300 shillings.
300.
Yeah.
Which year was that, if you can remember?
That was 2012. Yeah, 2012, 29, 2010. Yeah.
Where was that?
That was Iganga.
Iganga. Oh, you're from Iganga, eh?
Yeah.
You don't even grow coffee, eh?
My mom is Sogas, is from Iganga. Then my dad is from West Nile.
You know, Iganga, Mbale, Bududa, okay, Karamoja is a bit far, but they also grow a bit of coffee.
Yeah.
But that area, they grow a lot of coffee.
Yeah, you're
so,
right.
like, your mother was growing coffee, right?
Yeah, my grandma.
Your grandma?
Yeah, my grandma.
Like, how were the growing methods of they used like to grow coffee, if you can remember?
If I'm to remember or to recall, actually for us we went when it's already grown.
It's already up.
It's already up. So we're there to pick the cherries, go sell. We never went through the nursery bed and all that.
What's one thing that you bought and you can still say, yes, I sold this coffee and I bought this?
Actually, I remember when we picked the red cherries, we used to chew the very ripe coffees, yeah, and we could get this sweet taste from it. Then grandma was like, "You people, you're spoiling my coffee. Yet we need to go and sell and get some money for sugar. You need to pick more coffees. We go sell, get some money for sugar, maybe breakfast."
Well, the reason why I ask you that question is because during Christmas, my young brother, his age now 10 years, so my dad told him, if you want to buy something for yourself on Christmas, go and harvest the coffee, because we had some coffee plantations in our banana plantation somewhere. They're not much, just you know how like you can grow coffee in a banana plantation and so that coffee tree had beared a lot of coffee cherries. So my dad told this guy, you go and harvest that coffee, you sell it and you buy whatever you want, I'm not going to give you any money. That guy went and harvested coffee
And what he did, he had, I'm told he got 10 kgs and he sold it. He bought a pair of trousers and a t-shirt. But I tell you that day, he never removed those clothes. So that's why I was like, what is that one thing that you bought with the coffee you sold?
For us, we used to sell and, you know, give the money to the grandma.
Oh!
Yeah, that's what we used to do. We didn't know much about money.
Yeah.
So we could go sell, then this guy could get the money and bring to the grandma. So we were helping the guy. He wasn't giving us this money. We could give the money to the grandma.
Okay.
Yeah.
Before you went to Barista House as the coffee school, which schools did you go to? And in these schools, did they like talk about coffee?
Before
you went to Barista House as a
yeah.
coffee training school, yeah. Which schools did you attend?
It was a Chitante Hill.
Oh, you're the rich guys, huh?
No. It was a Chitante Hill from Form 1 to Form 4. Then Form 5 and Form 6, I went to Emirates. Those ends of Entebbe. Yeah.
The schools you've talked about, they're all in Central, and you told me your grandma was in Iganga. How do you get to Central?
Actually, we were born here.
Oh, you're born here?
Yeah, we were born here. So during our holidays, we're taken to the village. Yeah, to go stay with
your grandma, to get to know your grandma very well.
And the people there.
Yeah. And in your high school, you never had like coffee clubs and everything, because in the previous show with Michael, correct? If you haven't watched that show, please go to our YouTube channel, that's our Soft Talent Uganda, and watch that show. It was a very, very nice show. Michael talked to us about how he got to know coffee, how he got to know our introduction into the coffee industry. And he was like, there were these coffee clubs in school, in universities, and that's how he got to know coffee. Were there coffee clubs in your school?
For us, we were very, very unfortunate. We never had any coffee club. Yeah.
Do you think it's something